Hi, it's Julie here at Portfolio Oomph. I've not done a video for you for some time. It's been very busy here, as I'm sure you've been, getting your portfolios ready and, starting back at school. It takes quite an effort, doesn't it, to get back into the swing of things with all these new rules and restrictions. So anyway, the purpose of this video really is to let you know a little bit about the kinds of problems that students cite to me as, what are they having problems with their portfolios. Number one is probably their ideas. They're struggling with their ideas. They don't know what to do their work about. Number two probably would be they don't know how to work in sketchbooks. They don't know how to use their sketchbook. They've probably never used a sketchbook before now. And number three is they don't really know what to put in their portfolio, which I suppose comes at a bit of a later date. And I just really wanted to go into a couple of those scenarios just now, because they're, as I say, things that students talk to me about on a regular basis, and I'm here to try and help, give you some tips and some ways forward with that. So if we take number one, not having enough ideas or not knowing what ideas to work with. I was mentoring a student just last week who I was asking her what's the important things about her. What would she feel is something important that she wants to communicate about herself. The reason I ask that is because the colleges ask for this kind of individual portfolio, and if it's going to be individual, it needs to communicate or express something about who you are, not about what your teachers set for you to do at school, not about what your parents might think is a good idea for you to work on, but what do you feel is something that you could communicate about you. And I follow this student on Instagram. I try and follow my students on Instagram. I'm not stalking them, but I do like to find out a bit more about them myself, so that I can then help them to help themselves in a way. So I'd been on Instagram and noticed this student had a few stories on her Instagram page. One was about Black Lives Matters, and the other one was about the situation of detainees in China. And I kind of thought that these were just really good examples of interests that this student has that she perhaps hasn't really kind of considered as an interest. It's a event, I suppose, a current affair, something that's happening in the world that she has an interest in, clearly, to be, sharing it on Instagram, social media. And for her to use this, as a instigator for something in a portfolio or a project within a portfolio. So that was one thing. So the other thing, sketchbooks, how to work in your sketchbooks. I think, there's this thing of, just having to just get started. Many of my students say to me, I've got all these ideas, I'm working through them in my head, and, they've done research, perhaps online, and they've been and looked at all sorts of different ideas online or in their head. But actually, none of this research that they've done physically is evident in their sketchbooks. So that's a really good place to start. Well, what is it you're looking at? What is it, the ideas that you're exploring as possibilities? And just keeping a kind of roadmap of everything that you have done so far. So if you've visited websites, if you've done some research, for example, into, Black Lives Matter, what is it about Black Lives Matter? Is there particular scenarios or the particular people that you want to focus on? But all the kinds of things that you're kind of considering, thinking about. I'm just going to have a quick turn around and go back again because it's going to get noisy down there. All the kind of research that you might be doing, or maybe you're not doing it. Maybe you've just got this idea and you don't know what to do with it. So my first port of call would be, thinking about a mind map, putting out a mind map, and delving into that mind map. I don't just mean a really kind of light touch mind map. I think maybe doing a mind map, Black Lives Matter perhaps, but then looking at a section of that mind map and mind mapping that so that you're really deep diving into a particular idea. So that's a couple of ways. And then in your sketchbooks, you could start with your mind map and start with, drawing is always the best way to start. Always drawing as much from first hand as you can do. Drawing from, it doesn't have to be objects, it can be places, it can be people. Drawing is a whole host of things. What else? Printmaking. Printmaking's a good start. Some monoprinting. What else can you be doing in your sketchbook? Gathering other artists who have done projects on the same ideas as you might be doing. If you're into graphic design, advertising campaigns that consider these ideas, these possibilities. So you're starting to build your sketchbook as a bit of a brain dump, to be honest. Everything that's going on in your brain about that particular subject will be the start of your sketchbook. And then, the students sort of say to me, well, what I think they kind of struggle with, but I've got to do my portfolio, and then I've got to do sketchbooks, and I've got to do my UCAS statement, and then I've got to get my digital portfolios ready as well. And I think if you can kind of think about the whole idea of your project and just think that all this kind of research and trial and error and drawing and mind mapping, looking at other artists, that is your sketchbook. Your sketchbook isn't something in addition to or your portfolio. Your sketchbook really is the journey that takes you to the finished pieces in your portfolio. Okay, this may sound quite complicated without doing it, and I suppose it is if you're not used to doing it. And my 20-week course really takes you through every single step of this in a very guided way to show you. The first project is very full on but it's a really good demonstration into all the kind of activities that can be taking place that form your sketchbook. Okay. These and the third one, what to put in my portfolio. Well, this is it. I can't say to you, well, you need so much printmaking, you need 6 pieces of finished textiles. There's no kind of tick list, I'm afraid. And I think if you've got some ideas and you're able to explore them in your sketchbook, then all of that and the finished pieces becomes your portfolio. Yeah. If you gave me a big pile of work and sketchbooks and said to me, what should be in my portfolio, I could actually identify and say that to you. Well, you want this and this and this and this and this and this, and that would make your portfolio. But as you don't possibly have anything at the moment to begin with, the work actually needs to take place to build the research and development part that will go into your portfolio. So hopefully that helps. What I will do, I even printed this out so I could show you. I've got a little illustration here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to post it below this video, and it goes through all the kinds of skills that creative individuals use in their creative endeavours. So if you're a graphic designer or a textiles designer, fine artist, painter, sculptor, all the kinds of transferable skills, what you would call soft skills, I suppose, things that you're doing whilst you're creating. And a lot of this is really important in that process of working in your sketchbooks, not being afraid to try new things, sitting comfortably with uncertainty, not having to know what the answer is to everything, using your sketchbook to be able to just try things out, sharing your work, being able to reflect on your work. So I'm going to post that in the comments when I finish this video. When I get home, I will do that. But what I'd like to ask you to do is, if this has been helpful, if you could please give us a like, give us a love, whatever you've got there would be great. If you are or if you know of anybody who is applying to art college this year and who may be struggling or maybe just would find this video useful, I'd really appreciate if you could share it with them, because it's kind of getting to end of September, and I think, you know, Scottish students have been back probably 6 weeks. English students and the rest of the UK, Wales, Ireland have perhaps only been back to a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. But it's getting to the point now where students do tend to have a bit of a panic and kind of think, oh my goodness, I still don't really know what I'm doing, and it's the end of September. But what I would urge you to do is to get in touch. Let me know what I can help you with, how I can possibly help you. My 20-week course is a little bit late for getting involved with now, because 20 weeks takes us up probably until, you know, I don't know, middle of February perhaps. But I do a 10-week fast track. So a 10-week fast track would require you to spend a lot more time on the course, but it would really kind of fast track you through to January, so that you hit these 15th of January deadline for the UCAS applications, and then that usually results in the portfolios being due in at the end of January. So, you know, you've still got time to really kind of nail these ideas. Think about how you can portray yourself, you know, as an individual rather than just somebody at school, somebody saying hi to me. And yeah, please get a move on. If you need some help, if you need some support, please let me know. Don't sit in silence. There is nothing worse than having a problem, you know, and not being able to do anything about it. You know, by you not having any ideas, and by you not knowing how, sorry, it's a train now, and by you not knowing how to use your sketchbook, you know, how is that stopping you from making progress? Because that really is stopping you from making progress, okay? Your sketchbooks are crucial not just to prove that you've got sketchbooks and to prove that your sketchbooks, you know, are there, I've got sketchbooks tick, but they're crucial in terms of producing the best finished pieces. You know, if you're not using your sketchbooks to the full benefit, then your finished pieces are going to be much weaker. Okay. So give us a like. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a like. I say, if you know anybody who would benefit from watching this video, please share it. I'm going to share these notes underneath the video when I get home, and yeah, hope this finds you well. Thanks, bye.